Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Sylvester Stallone Podcast Network show, the flagship show, the one that sort of started off everything as a trio. Returning with me, of course. I mean, not returning with me. Let me rephrase that. I will never do this show unless Craig and Doug are joining the three of us doing this together. There's been times Craig's like, no, you guys go ahead and do it, or Doug said, no. It will never happen. So it's been 6 months, folks, since our last time we've done one of these episodes. Spy Kids 3 was the last one we did. Life, it's gone by too fast. So we are coming back for a very special occasion for this episode. Doug, let's start with you. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm on borrowed time because I got a sleeping baby right now. So we'll see. All right. We'll see how this goes.
I understand. If you got to tap out, you got to tap out. So we'll get right down to it.
Before you get to Craig, I almost had to implore you guys to go on without me because my daughter's sick. She was up all hours of the night with a fever and everything. No. So, and I was going to beg you guys to do this without me.
No.
Yeah, because I wasn't going to watch this horse shit again.
You're going down with the armored car in the river, man.
Spoiler alert! Okay, Craig, how you doing, brother? On this beautiful Las Vegas morning, how you doing over there? Looking good.
Thank you. I wish we were together under better circumstances, but it's always a thrill to sit down with the two of you.
Was this a funeral or something? What's going on? What are you talking about?
Ryan, not to spoil the mood here, but this movie made me really sort of think my Stallone fandom. Really made me re-examine what the fuck Stallone is doing in 2024 and why he's doing it. That's the most important thing, is the why. We've reached a new, I don't even know what to call it. It's not a low.
Well, there's low, and then there's 50 feet of shit, and then there's this.
There's that famous Casey Kasem quote where he says something's ponderous.
What the hell's going on here? Geez, well, isn't it the last hour? We got another hour to do? Geez, I thought we were almost finished. Good golly, Miss Molly. Boy, this is fucking ponderous, man. Fucking ponderous.
Yeah. This is truly and utterly ponderous.
It makes me think that Stallone has never said no to any project.
That's the problem. He has said no to projects. And it's funny, we talk about his projects, like, he wanted to direct Edgar Allan Poe film at some point. Let's just say that's for an example. But he decides to waste a day of his life doing this. And so we'll get into what are we talking about, folks? You should let the audience know if they haven't read the title. What movie are we referring to? We're talking about the 2024 action thriller Armor.
The top billed star is Jason Patric.
Rightfully so.
So I'm prepared, if you guys want to, I'm prepared to discuss any other Jason Patric movie. We can talk to Lost Boys if you want. We can talk the gritty cop classic Narc if you want.
Speed 2
Cruise Control. Let's do it, guys. I'm prepared. Anything.
Okay. Well, we are going to talk about a couple of the stars of the movie. As we do, we talk about who's in the film and what the film was about. Have you guys actually seen the trailer for Armor? Have you seen the trailer?
I wanted to go in fresh like you do, Ryan.
Yeah, and that's what I do. And sometimes I will watch the trailer after I've seen the film, whatever the film, just to see kind of, did the trailer spoil anything? Did it present what the film was going to be like to any degree properly? Because sometimes trailers like to trick people. Doug, have you seen the trailer yet?
I haven't, but I can imagine the grenade explosions or the truck falling off the bridge, like that all made it into the trailer.
Well, let's watch the trailer. Let's see if the trailer represents the film we saw.
Murphy's Law is this. If something can go wrong, it will go wrong at the worst possible time. Careful with the C4.
It's not stable.
Yeah, well, everything's unstable.
Speak for yourself.
I'd kill for some action. The best action is no action.
Dispatch, we are getting robbed and we need backup.
We're being jammed.
Anybody home? Don't waste time. You come out now, and we'll get you to a hospital.
We open the doors, we're dead.
Be smart. That's not your money.
You didn't do this plan to keep 2 witnesses alive. And if you could blow these doors open, you wouldn't be here negotiating with me.
Bad choice. There's only one way out of this thing where you're still breathing.
I was pretty right.
It's a good trailer.
Well, that's the thing. It's amazing. It's amazing what they can do with trailer work. Because if you watch that trailer without seeing the film, what would you say the amount of Sly in the film would be and all that stuff? Like, what would you even say the film was about? And I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm just curious what objectively, if you were able to piece that together.
It's an armored car being jacked.
Okay. Yeah.
The surprising thing for me going in was that Sly was the bad guy.
Right.
Well, I also want to ask, and I know you do your research a lot, so I'm sure you did this count. You know how they do F counts, when people drop the F bomb and stuff. Did you count how many times Jason Patric did the glasses adjust?
It's to indicate he's a little bit of a bumbling, not the hardcore cop he used to be. This is his narc character. This is like a sequel to Narc, maybe.
Maybe he was just doing his best. Well, actually, well, actually,
You know how they always say, like, give us a sign if you're in distress? That was Jason Patric trying to communicate to us that he's trying to figure out where the fuck his career went.
The blink twice.
Yeah.
When's the last time you saw a Jason Patric film? He's one of those actors where, when he's in a film, it never bothers me. I'm like, oh, it's Jason Patric, cool. But I've never gone to see Jason Patric film. I don't go out of my way to see. But if he's in a film that I'm seeing, it's never a problem. And ironically, it's the same here, meaning he was maybe the only brightish spot in this cluster F of a film where he was like, whatever he was given with the script that he was given, he wasn't bad. He was in a bad film, but he was serviceable at the very least. Why? That's the question. What is the why? And I find this discussion is maybe what we'll focus on because we don't need to go in the plot. We saw the plot with it's a father-son. They get trapped in an armored car. It's a heist. Heist gone wrong. They all make it out in the end. End of story. I mean, that's kind of what happens. But the question is, what is really going on? And I don't know if we can answer that, but do you want to speculate? What is really happening here behind the scenes?
First of all, the last Jason Patric movie I recall seeing is probably 10 years ago at this point, a movie called The Losers, which I'd much rather be talking about right now. It's
we can't. I'm sorry.
Negan from The Walking Dead. I forgot that guy's name.
Yeah,
Jeffrey.
Yeah, and Zoe Saldana, Idris Elba, Chris Evans is in it too. God, I'm probably gonna go watch that after we're done. This is funny because Sean Malloy from the network, he does the Dolph Lundgren show. He's talked a lot about these Randall Emmett productions. Randall Emmett produced this movie.
That's right.
I think he was behind a lot of the Bruce Willis straight to video releases that happened toward the end of his career. And Sean has always talked about in our like sort of behind the scenes chats about the financing for these movies, and that's all these are.
Do you think they're money laundering? Do you really think do you think there's illegal activities actually happening here?
There's crimes against cinema being committed. I don't want to call it a Ponzi scheme because it's not a Ponzi scheme, but it's just, hey, listen, I know it's the movie business. The business part of the movie business is a reality, but there has to be a certain level of artistic expression along with the commerce. For this movie, there was no artistic expression. It was purely driven by the commerce end of things. And the thing that's frustrating to me is I didn't have a problem with this movie. It was easy enough to watch, but it's got to be one of the most ridiculous endings. It angered me from a storytelling perspective. It seriously angered me because it showed that nobody gave a shit. When I sit down to watch a movie, I assume that everybody making the film, from the director on down, starting with the writer, are going to tell me a story that's got an ending that will give me something to think about if they don't give me the ending I want. Okay. In this movie, they were like, oh shit, we got to page 88 on the script. The time's to end it. Let's do this. And it's a bullshit ending. It doesn't earn the 80 minutes prior to it. I mean, and that's really the thing that's got me the most angry about this, is especially considering that Sly, who we've talked about what a great writer he is, you know, the great movies he's been involved with, the fact that he let this ending happen, it tells me something, and I don't know what that is, but it's not good.
But we talked about a lot of different things at once here, which I want to tackle a little bit. I think the biggest thing I sort of want to talk about is Randall Emmett. We spoke about him briefly. He is the producer of this film. It turns out, I don't know if you guys caught this, the official director of the film is a guy named Justin Root. So Justin Rout, this is only his third film that he's directed. Apparently, when Sly came on, now did you know that Sly was on for one day filming?
I did not know that.
One day, he got paid $3.5 million for a one-day film. Now, I knew that before watching the film, so I knew that. So I was watching the film to see how they did it. So you can tell how they did it. They literally had Sly and his gang do their moments, like bang, bang, you know, from like, let's say we've got 10 a.m. to, you know, it's a summer day. Let's say they filmed in the summer. So let's say you got 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., 7 hours. Literally, you do your 20 lines. Here, shoot here. And Jason Patric and the guy playing his son were never there. They weren't even there. The truck turned on its side, all that stuff. It's already set up. They go in, film it. Sly goes home for the day. That's it. They can easily do some pickup shots of the side gang stuff with Sly not there, when he's not on screen. Basically, when Sly's not on screen, he's not there.
They don't share any scenes together. So
very little.
No reason.
Or they don't actually share the frame together.
Yeah,
that's right. You say Jason good. Yeah, it's fine. I didn't catch that. Even though we'll talk about the ending, they're theoretically in the same geographical area throughout the film. They're never on film together. That's a good point. So that's how they worked around that with editing and what have you. Okay.
I had read that potentially Randall Emmett was the ghost director.
So Randall Emmett, apparently when Sly came on set for the one day, he actually got some of the film crew to rally around with him just to kind of let Sly know, hey, things aren't going very well here. I'm going to be taking over as director, just so you know, Justin's name is on the key card or whatever marquee, but I'll be directing you. I'll be taking care of this. So I was like, whatever, man, just give me the $3.5 million. I'll call it a day. So here's Randall Emmett. For our listeners, there might be a few of you who don't know this. Randall Emmett, this is what he's been accused of. I got a litany of stuff here. I'll just do the headlines first. Abusive assistance to staff. He's got misconduct, of course, involving women. So several women came forward with allegations of sexual misconduct and inappropriate behavior, unwanted advances, and then, you know, sleep with me, you get the role, classic stuff like that. Unethical business practices. So he failed to pay debts to business partners, broken financial agreements, substance abuse, fraud, and misleading investors, physical altercations and threats with other people, manipulation, favoritism, which is, you know, I guess that's normal in Hollywood. And again, like you said, Craig, exploitation of Bruce Willis. So he kept Bruce Willis in films despite apparent signs of the actor's decline in health. On the set of Midnight in the Switchgrass, Willis reportedly struggled with basic tasks, yet Emmett allegedly pushed to continue using him in multiple low-budget productions thereafter.
So he's a real piece of work.
But here's the question. I love Sly. You know, he's my film hero. That's what I mean when I say it. Like, as far as like my film hero, I grew up with Rambo, Rocky, and, you know, Cliffhanger. I went to the films and I enjoyed Demolition Man. Like, I enjoy these films as a young lad. And it sucks when you have a guy who's 78 or 77 when he filmed this, whatever. Like, doesn't he know better? Why bother? If Randall Emmett gives Sly a call, says, hey, I'll pay you $3.5 to work one day on this piece of crap film that might be laundering money or whatever. Sly should have the wherewithal. Like, he knows about this Hulu documentary that exposed all this. Why doesn't he say, dude, you know what? Keep your money, you piece of shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? But like, why doesn't that happen?
Yeah, he's worth $500 million, right? Like,
what is $3 million? Pocket change? I mean, where's his agent? I mean, does he have an active agent anymore? That's actually, I assume not. I mean, this is akin to like Bela Lugosi doing Plan 9 from Outer Space.
That's what I mean. The bigger story is the why. Like, yeah, the film, we'll talk. I do want to talk about the ending because you're right. The film was serviceable. Father-son relationship, alcoholism. He's not really a recovering alcoholic. He's still an alcoholic. Those are kind of like drama of the week, interesting story, enough storylines. Like, sure.
At the end of the day, it's padding.
Yeah, and there was no payoff to it.
No,
That's
exactly,
right.
Doug. There was. It was just like, oh shit, we need to get to that 85-minute running time. That's all this movie was. TV now is connect the dots. There's TV shows out there now that you get caught up watching them, and then you realize, oh shit, all they're doing is stringing me along.
Right.
It's like dangling a carrot. That's all this movie was. It was like the screenwriter had the book, like how to write a successful screenplay, and just plugged in the plot points, and then was like, oh, I need a backstory. And you're right, Ryan. I mean, Jason Patric handled it fine. At the end of the movie, what has changed for Jason Patric's character? He's not going to become a cop again.
Yeah.
You know, maybe he's going to address his alcoholism. But then also they even foreshadow that his alcoholism caused the death of his wife. And it turns out that it's probably the reason that he's drinking.
And they wasted, 10 minutes on a flashback scene where his wife gets killed. It was fine, but it was like disjointed. Like it had no place in this movie.
It was like a twist. It was like, wait, he wasn't drunk driving, and that killed his wife. He was doing the right thing, and his wife died.
I was actually going to ask Doug, because Doug, you're a cop, right?
Yeah, you don't take your family in your patrol car when you're off duty and stop speeders. You don't do that.
You don't do that?
No.
But Doug, if you saw somebody speeding and being erratic in traffic, wouldn't it be your duty as a police officer, off duty or not, to say, you know what, I got to take care of this? Would you have done that?
I see people do that shit on duty and I don't stop them. Wait. Scrub this. Delete. Let the record indicate that Doug was just joking. For the record, off the record, we'll talk. Allegedly.
I thought you were talking about Las Vegas cops, Doug, because some of the shit I see here makes me shake my head.
That they turn a blind eye to. Yeah. I've never, getting back to Sly.
Oh, please.
I mean, I'm sure they're out there, but we spend so much time focused on him. But the highs that he has in his career and the low, just putrid lows that he has, there's an entire atmosphere's worth of space in between those. We talked about this, I think it was on Backtrace, when he showed up for one day of filming, right? When he was
I think it was 4 days there, or at least 3 days maybe.
75-year-old cop that's still on the force for some reason. And we were speculating back then, like, did he owe somebody a favor and that's why he's doing it? Because there's no other reasonable explanation for these choices.
But the other thing too is, at least when he made Backtrace, he didn't have anything going on. But here he had Tulsa King season 1, which had been a ratings hit.
Season 2 by now. Season 2, I've already watched season. You're talking about the worlds or phantom leagues apart, Doug. I agree. During this same year, we just finished Tulsa King season 2, which is excellent. Which just goes to show you when you have strong directing and storytelling and character development, it's great storytelling. That show does not string you along. It was legitimately it's a good show. It's actually legitimately a good show,
except for him defending himself in court.
Okay, all right. That was the first couple episodes, maybe the weakest part of the season.
That was like, oh shit, we wrote ourselves into a corner. What are we gonna do?
They got out of the way by the second episode. But it's actually a good enough show that, like, my wife, who's she's indifferent to Sly in the sense she'll watch the Stallone film, but she watches that show like unironically. She enjoys the Tulsa King as a TV show. It's just crazy that he could do that kind of show, and then he does this. So the question is, again, why? Now I know why the movie company gave him the money. Is you're basically saying, hey, look, let's pretend Sly's character was played by Scott Bakula or something, whatever, like a whatever actor, like literally a C-list type. They basically gave Sly it's an ad revenue. We're going to give you $3.5 million to be, your role is nothing. It's got nothing to do with, but your name is on the marquee. So
that's the thing, though. It doesn't get made with Scott Bakula.
Right.
There's no way I come out of this without losing respect for Stallone. I mean, that's like...
Okay, so Louise had this to say, greed is greed for a reason, and if you don't have the highest moral fiber, you're going to be more likely to agree to projects like this. Then he quickly said, scrub that from the transcript. Too late, Louise. Too late.
We've talked about Bruce Willis before, and I think everybody, rightfully so, was very critical of those cash grab movies Bruce Willis is doing. But then when you see that he's basically getting as much money as he could to provide for his family down the road as he developed this terrible, terrible disease, It made it all forgivable. There's no moment with Stallone where it's forgivable. It's like, oh, is this so he could fund a weekend in the Bahamas for his daughters?
I agree. And I think at the end of the day, like, I know what Louis is saying, greed is greed for a reason. But that's the thing, is like, I have a job that pays the bills. Like, it pays the bills. But if they offered me more money, of course I would take the money. Yeah. So I guess there's a weird part of you. Yeah, you're right. How much more extravagant lifestyle does Sly have to lead? But they're just giving him more money. Of course, not very many people will turn it down. But I guess the question still is, why does he even say yes to this? There's probably independent directors and writers out there who have some pretty good real projects. If Sly was, or any of these A-list actors who do this kind of schlock, De Niro's done it. I mean, John Malkovich has done it. A lot of great actors have done this schlocky stuff. It's weird. I don't know why they don't just say, you know what, I'm going to give a struggling director, writer a chance and put my name on that, get paid nothing, still shoot for 3 days. Maybe I'm too much of a philanthropist myself, but why don't they do that stuff more?
Maybe it is about the money. Maybe they said, like, don't even worry about the script, Sly. Their selling point is this: 1 day of work, $3.5 million. Are you?
That's what it was.
I wonder if he even fucking read the script.
Yeah,
like he might not even know how the movie ends.
Yeah.
There's a point though where you start to ruin your brand.
Mm-hmm.
If you pull the rug out from people enough times, they're going to catch wind of it, and they're going to say, "Well, I'm not falling for this shit again." And I don't know if we'll ever reach that point, because I don't think these movies are getting any attention. If any of us had asked our family, hey, did you see the new Stallone movie? Mm-hmm. If anybody would have known what the fuck we were talking about.
Well, that's why he takes a flat paycheck and not points. I don't think a Stallone, Jason Patric title card is going to really draw the crowd. Even if it was like a really good movie, is Stallone's name big enough to draw anymore?
It was funny. I went to the YouTube comments for the trailer that we watched at the beginning of this episode, and it's fun to watch the initial, like when the trailer first dropped, like Craig said, it's a decent trailer. We all know, but even by watching the trailer, it's going to be a straight to streaming movie, but it looks serviceable enough. Like, okay, and then I went to the newest comments, and people had now seen the film, and the anger and vitriol that people were now expressing with the newest comments. So the original comments, so the ones that had the most likes or whatever, they were when the trailer dropped, because it's Stallone. People were like, Stallone's still making action movies in 78. Look at him. I see Stallone's name. I'm there. That was another one, which is all fair. I get it. Those are fair comments. These are fans of Sly. So, Craig, the question is, how long do we keep pulling the football away from Charlie Brown before people are going to be like, enough of this? Now, our podcast will continue till we die or till Sly dies, because, he's got 7 more projects coming up that we're going to have to get to. And one of them is actually another film produced by Ronald Emmett.
Yeah.
So he's doing another one of these. It's called Alarum.
Oh, God.
It's coming out in 2025. So stand by, folks. We're going to cover Alarum. It's going to be another straight-to-video Ronald Emmett production. Oh, there's already a trailer for it?
Oh, God. We got to watch that.
Somebody's got to stop this. But then I realized, I was thinking back to the credits. I don't recall seeing any credits in these movies that had, like for the producers, like had PGA next to their name, like the Producers Guild. Normally you see that in trailers. You'll see like they'll put, the editor will have whatever the Society of Editors is. I don't recall seeing any of that. But so I was thinking like somebody has to put a stop to it. But obviously these aren't guild members. Nobody's vouching for their skills. The one thing I love about these Sly movies is you get to see these production company logos at the beginning that you'll never see again.
No, there was like 10 of them.
Yeah, and they're all companies. You're like, this is probably a shell company that was created for whatever guy invested 10% of the budget of the film. Wow, that's a production company graphic you're never going to see again.
Do you think he has a deal signed with a production company, like a 7-picture deal?
It's amazing to me that Lionsgate was involved with this at all.
Yeah, that surprised me too.
Didn't he have like some kind of, what company put out the Expendables movies? Was it like Millennium Films or something? The actual production company. Lionsgate probably handled the distribution. He had some kind of developmental deal, I think, with like Millennium or something.
Well, you know how, say, Adam Sandler has his deal with Netflix, right? Where I don't know how many movie deal he has, but it seems like there's a new one coming out every.
And yet we don't have a Hubie Halloween sequel yet. WTF?
Some of them are crap, but some of them are actually decent films. So I mean,
I like the two murder mystery movies. I mean, these throwaway Adam Sandler movies are like Citizen Kane compared to what we're talking about.
I wouldn't say they hurt him or his brand. Everybody has these shit shows in their career. Everybody does, but they're not so offensive to the fans or the viewers like Sly's lows are.
With Adam Sandler, it might be a lame excuse, but you can forgive it because he's like, I've got a crew I like working with. I have other actors I like working with. This is just a chance for us to get together for 2 to 3 months and have fun.
Right.
Whereas this was not Sly saying, oh, I want to get a crew together and a group of actors and have fun on location. It was one day of shooting, like Ryan said. So you can't even have that throwaway argument.
It shows with the lack of chemistry between him and any of the actors. I'm not going to call them stars. The one dude, the crazy guy who's supposed to know him for years, 20 years,
12 years,
a dozen years. There's nothing between them.
I love how they try to build a little bit of mythology that we've been together for 12 years and this is the first time this kind of stuff has gone down. Like they've been heisting armored cars for 12 years, at least as a team. This crew is a little bit crazy, and he's the one that goes. He had the crazy eyes the whole movie.
I meant to look that guy up because he was the only other guy aside from Sly and Jason Patric that I was like, I've seen that dude in another movie.
You have seen it before. You'll recognize his filmography. They'll go, oh, he's there. He was in Thin Red Line, which is one of my favorite films of all time, and he had the same goofy expression that whole film too. He's just looking scared and weird the whole time. that might be his. That might be his thing, to look weird and scary. But I just wanted to put a pin on Alarum. So have you guys ever want to see Eastwood and Stallone in the same film? Well, we almost get that. Scott Eastwood and Sylvester Stallone will be in the movie Alarum. It's about two rogue spies go off grid, marry, and come under attack at the remote cabin hideaway by various intel agencies seeking a stolen hard drive. The trailer is available, but I'm not going to watch the trailer as per Armor. I don't want to be disappointed. I got to go in blind. But according to what's new, this is the next one coming out in 2025. The trailer's already out.
Clint can't pick up the phone and call his son and say, you don't do this.
I feel like he's not getting the proper work. He's a good-looking guy and a decent actor.
No, but you know what? When you do shit like this, you're not going to get the proper work. Like your phone's going to stop ringing for serious work.
It's spitting an image of his dad in many ways. And like I say, he's a good looking guy, but I don't know why he was in Fast X was his last film.
Which, I mean, that's a big budget. That's one of the biggest franchises currently going. I don't even remember him from Fast X.
He played Little Nobody was his character's name. I don't know.
Yeah. If you read that synopsis, these films are ones that they're great elevator pitch movies. It's like, oh, a married couple at a remote location. It's a one location film again. This was a one location film, really. The armored car. The money people are like, oh, we need the armored car set. Or here they're going to be like, oh, we need the cabin set. And that's it.
He's got a lot of stuff in pre-production, but IMDb likes to do anything, even if an actor even mentions it in an interview, they like to throw it in there. But the one that looks like it really is in pre-production is this one. Looks maybe hopeful. I'm hopeful. It's called The Epiphany. It's a Philadelphia detective. Boy, Stallone does not retire. Even his on-screen characters don't retire. Can you imagine an 80-year-old detective, Doug, in your business? Is that possible?
No, they're forced out at 65. Forced out. The law, the state of New Jersey says you cannot work past the age of 65.
Look, I love Sly, but you can't keep saying you're 65 for you're 78. You know,
God.
Like he looks good for 78. Like I'm not saying that. I'm just saying now he's still like you're pushing it for 65.
There's a point where your voice starts to give you away too, and Sly has reached that point. There was like points in this movie where you hear him talking, and you're like
he's trying to hold his teeth in.
Yeah, he's holding his teeth in, holding his hair in. Okay, so a Philadelphia detective is forced to deal with his unsettled past with the Catholic Church when he investigates a serial killer who is targeting its members who are linked to a local scandal.
This sounds like a snooze fest.
Yeah, it sounds like a non-mythical Arnold movie. End of Days.
End of Days, yeah. We're no longer making the comparisons between Sly and Arnold here. Arnold has never stooped to this level.
Did he have some bad ones? What was that TV show he did on Netflix that was not really...
That was a bad Netflix show. But he obviously showed up to do it. He didn't spend one day on the set of Gunther. We're reaching like Steven Seagal levels here with Stallone.
Actually, you know, it's funny that you say that. When I was watching the trailer, I mean, we just watched the film, but when I was watching the trailer to Armor, when he would have showed Sly pointing the gun there to kill the bad guy at the end from the bridge, which is an incredible shot, by the way. He looked kind of Steven Seagal-ish. You know what I mean? It kind of reminded me of like, I'm not really fighting. I don't have to do anything. I'm just holding the gun and pretending to shoot. It was kind of sad. It was kind of sad. He should have gone the Clint Eastwood route. Speaking of Eastwood, he should have gone just direct. That's why Clint can still kind of make, whether it's a decent enough movie or here or there. But I think Sly does have a good eye for direction. I think he has a good eye for like proper storytelling if he wants to. I don't know why he doesn't go behind the director's chair and say, you know what? Why doesn't he direct these films?
Well, here it is. In the chat, Louis mentioned greed. Another word we need to use with Sly is ego, which I think is even bigger than the greed portion of this, and it's ego. You know, obviously there was a point in Clint Eastwood's career where his awareness and his lack of ego, maybe, or his awareness of where he was, convinced him to do this pivot. Whereas Stallone and his ego still need that spotlight. It's filling some kind of void somewhere. If you're under the spotlight for 50 plus years, it's really hard to let go of. I mean, athletes go through it. There's a point where, like, you know, Mike Piazza goes and opens a car dealership because nobody's going to let him play baseball anymore. In Hollywood, we don't have that.
Hey, guys, I'm sorry. The baby's up and crying. I got to run.
Oh,
okay. Shit.
All right. So I'm sorry to bail out, but at least I got some solid thoughts out.
We're not going to be much longer. We need this one to be a long episode. All good.
All right, Buzz. Thanks a lot, man. I'll see you guys.
Happy New Year.
All right. Happy New Year.
You too, guys.
We held on to Doug as long as we could. I actually knew this wouldn't be the longest episode. So, let's talk about the plot. Then I'll give my final thoughts regarding Stallone's career. The plot, basically, long story short, guys, is you have a father-son who work together doing the car armor. So they go to the banks, put the stuff in. It's the mail service. And I think it's a good way of describing it. It was described that way in the film, which is a decent description. Basically, the post service for valuable stuff. People carrying the stuff don't know what's in there. That's part of the mystery. We don't know what we're carrying. There was something that wasn't on the ledger, but they were carrying it. So we're led to believe it could be plutonium or nuclear weapon. We don't know, but it's just gold. Stallone's crew, like Craig said at the beginning, was the whole idea that Stallone's character, he's a bad guy. Again, he's a bad guy who's not totally evil. He's just, he's a heist guy. He steals money or whatever it is. So the crew takes on the armored car, traps it on a bridge, makes like the bridge is out of commission so there won't be any civilian traffic. All they had to do was get out of the armored car, let them walk away with their wares. But Jason Patric's character and his son knew, look, you don't want witnesses. We're going to be dead. So they fight for their lives. And they end up surviving by the end of the film through some sort of chain of events.
Who was that one actor you were going to...
It was the guy with the crazy eye guy, the redheaded guy.
You said we'd probably know him from something.
Well, that's what I recognized him was Thin Red Line.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, he was in other stuff as well, but the one that I did recognize him from was Thin Red Line. You know what?
In that plot rundown you just did, it answered one of my questions.
Okay.
I didn't put together until you just said it that they had set up that barricade that that the armored car crashes through to cut off the bridge, because I was like, why aren't there people coming to this bridge? But at the same time, why do the cops come at the end?
I don't know.
Is there a sensor on the bridge that if something falls off the bridge, the cops are notified? First of all, I mean, the armored car is off the grid for hours. At no point did anybody say, hey, we've got one of our trucks that is supposed to be at point A and it hasn't shown up yet. I mean, I assume those trucks have trackers.
Plot holes of this film are immense.
Well, and I'm all for suspending disbelief and allowing a plot to roll out to justify the movie. But like here, why didn't they just pick their drop-off point and be like, okay, we take them at the drop-off?
Yeah, they were going somewhere.
It was a case of gold coins. It's easy enough that when they're coming out of the truck with the case of gold coins, how many movies have we seen where like the armored car guys get held up when they're unloading?
Yeah, you're right. They could have easily just, wherever it was being delivered, knocked them out with tear gas or whatever. They could have just tear gassed the two guys. They weren't wearing gas masks, grabbed the loot and run away.
How about this? So when they pick up this load, they're supposed to be picking up three cases, right?
Right.
And Jason Patric's really like, he's a stickler for it. He's like, hey, there's an extra case here that's not on the paperwork. And the guy's like, just take it anyway. If they're not keeping track of this extra case, why didn't the guy just put it in the back of his car at the end of his shift? Like, there's no way to track this.
Yeah, that's right. If Jason Patric's character doesn't need that extra case, why doesn't the bank guy just say, fine?
Yeah, it's not on the paperwork, so it's not even like they can file an insurance claim or whatever they're planning to do. Put it on a luggage cart and roll it out to your car.
Literally, Stallone's character could have walked into the bank and walked out with the case. Nobody would have batted an eye. Would you have stopped anyone leaving the bank with a case in their hand? Because then you can't call the film Armor, Craig.
Why add that line into the movie, though? There was no reason for it. Like, if anything, you'd want to be like 4 cases, 4 things are going on the truck.
Oh, the original order was 3, but I see now the order's been changed to represent the 4 here. Great, thank you for that. Just a subtle, like, oh, it's been increased last minute.
Yeah.
I love it. It's almost like they didn't have a proper writer. This is where the money grab comes in. This is where I feel like, look, I'm all for films wanting to make a budget because if you think about it, if a film doesn't make a budget, then that company or that director can't make more films. So if the film's good, we want more Christopher Nolan. We want more Quentin Tarantino because people keep showing up because we like what they're delivering. So you want products to make money because we want more of it. James Bond franchise, whatever it is, people keep showing up because they want more. But these companies are weird. I don't know what it is they're doing. Are they
because they're not? No, money? See, that's the thing. It's just like they're making movies for the sake of being able to make another movie. Like, there doesn't seem like anybody woke up that morning, and we talked about like on your Ed Zwick show. Tom Cruise is like, we get to make a movie with enthusiasm. Like, you'll never see Tom Cruise do this kind of shit. He's got a reverence and a respect, and an understanding of the promise you make to your audience when you ask them to buy a ticket.
Fabulous point, though, Craig. Here's Tom Cruise saying, no, Top Gun Maverick will be on the big screen. I think during the COVID, they waited. They're like, no. Wait till theaters are open. And it worked. $1 billion+ box office, huge movie. Saved. A lot of people even say it saved cinema. It came out and saved cinema. What I'm trying to say is that these successful big movies is you have people like Tom Cruise or Ryan Reynolds who believes in his character, Deadpool. When you believe in the product, truly it shows in what you're giving. And the sad thing is both Tom Cruise and Sly, by definition, are actors. They're in Hollywood. They make films. That's their job. But you have one guy who takes it kind of seriously. And you're right, it depletes the product of the other person when they're like, oh, I'll just be an armor. So if Tom and Sly were to have supper together, talking about their careers, how would Sly answer that question to Tom if Tom says, why are you doing this? Like, I made Maverick, and I'm making a pretty kick-ass franchise called Mission Impossible. You might have heard of it, where each film is better than the next one. Sly, you're a smart guy. Why aren't you doing this too?
I don't think there's a genuine answer that he'd be able to deliver that would convince Cruise that it's not just shameless money grab.
Then the ironic thing is Tom's making money. He puts his name as producer. Guess who gets some of that box office tally? Louise brings up a good point here. Armor is beginning to reach Lords of Flatbush level of frustration from you guys. Yeah. But the difference is Sly then was a struggling actor.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to do these roles now. Why not just do one film every 5 years? Or just do what Daniel Day-Lewis does. Yeah, I'm done. Tap out. I'm done. I'm retired. Or Dustin Hoffman or these other, like, why do this? And that's the frustrating thing as a Sly fan, where we have to do this. We have no choice. We have to. The people have asked for this review. Donald at the beginning of this show said, I'm stoked for this review. And I'm like, I don't know if you should be, Donald.
Yeah. When you were watching this movie, Ryan, were you trying to figure out how it was going to end?
I actually was. So when the father and son were trapped in an overturned armored car and they were outmanned and outgunned, there was a part of me that was legitimately wondering, how are they going to get out of this mess? For sure.
Yeah. Me too.
What about you? Okay.
Me too. Right. And then they basically default to, I think it's mentioned earlier a couple minutes earlier, the crazy guy goes, let's just ram it off the bridge.
But the problem is, I said they were outmanned, right? First, so how they got rid of that was the crazy guy offed 2 guys, or offed one guy, thought he offed Sly's character. Less people, less money to split. Let's just take the money and have less people to split it with, because these guys on this crew are, we can't trust them for future jobs anyways. So let's just kill them now. And he did. He thought he killed both of them. Now we're down people. So I'm thinking, okay, now we're down less people. And then he, like you said, I can swim and get the money out of the river. So let's just drown them. Again, not a bad idea. Let's just put this thing in the river and I'll swim and get the money later.
Sure, from that character's point of view, yeah.
But what I didn't understand is if he can't get into the armored car on dry ground, wouldn't that be hard to do underwater?
Exactly. It becomes buried treasure at that point.
Yeah.
And you're not getting it immediately.
No. But all the same, he drowns them, or he hopes to drown them. They get out, and then, of course, there's a big fist fight between Jason Patric and this crazy guy.
The ending they went with is the frustrating thing to me, because I was genuinely like, okay, Jason Patric's character's been resourceful. Yep. His son's been resourceful. I really wanted to see them work their way out of this. I wasn't sure if like the lost pen light was going to come into play.
Yes, I thought it was going to come into play later too. So, yeah.
Pen light his wife gave him, his pregnant wife gave him, with turkey and fluffernutter sandwich. There's going to be some kind of ingenious way that they get themselves out of it. Instead of it was like, oh, it's akin to like clearing the Monopoly board when you're frustrated. You ever do that when you're a kid, you're playing a board game and somebody gets upset and they just flip the board? Game over. That's what they did in this movie. They just cleared the board.
They literally flushed them out of the car. So they're up on the beach. And I love the image of Buddy who's on the bridge. We don't see it off camera, but his character is literally running down the bridge at full speed, getting down to the riverbank just so he could attack Jason Patric's character. Why didn't he just shoot him? Why did he have to fist fight him? Any thoughts on that?
Because it was personal at that point.
Oh, I see. Okay.
He was angry and he wanted to get that frustration out.
Okay, good. Look at you. Yeah. Okay.
You were 100% certain when they framed that shot the way they did, where he's about to shoot Jason Patric. I was waiting for the gunshot to come from behind. Like, when's Sly going to shoot him?
Yeah, it happened. So Buddy gets shot by Sly from 200 yards, 300 yards away. That's a wicked shot with the handgun. I wish Doug was still here, because he would let us know about the marksmanship that would be required for somebody to get that headshot from that distance. But it happened, against suspension of belief. It's a film. Now, this is where the biggest problem. Everything we said so far, schlocky, straight to streaming, whatever. Sly, or his character at the end, the boy and the father go up to the bridge, and Sly's like, okay, so what are we going to do now? Are you guys going to call the cops on me? Or basically, I'll kill you if you narc on me. But if you don't narc on me, you go about your life and I will leave you, type thing. And he goes, that's okay, because he says, I'm not a killer anyways. That line alone, that was the line where I felt my first level of anger. Because I'm like, your character, if I'm looking at this, your character, A, killed somebody. B, when you're firing the weapons you were at the beginning, when the armored truck first explodes, then it's flipped over, and then it's like this.
There was potential for somebody to die.
Incredible potential for people to get shot and killed. Is he saying that all that action that they were doing on the father-son was not lethal? When did we ever think as a watcher that he wasn't trying to kill them? Why would he say that at the end of the film?
There were a couple times where he expressed, he's like, hey, we don't want to catch a homicide or whatever. Like, we don't want the extra.
He did say that, but he's not acting that way. You can't shoot weapons like that and not expect some sort of damage, okay? I think why. I'll tell you why. The reason why they did that was because Sly is Sly. It's a way of his, you're talking about legacy, right? It's a way of him like, sure, I was a bit of a bad guy, but look, I showed mercy. Sly gets the bad guy kill. Sly saves the day. Sly spares the lives of the cop and the son. And he literally walks into the sunset as the hero of the story. And then a car picks him up. Who's the car?
The dude at the bank that could have put that thing in the back seat of the car.
Oh, that was the same guy?
Yeah. That was the guy at the bank that gave him a hard time about being late.
Why did he just put that in the car? Like, you stop. That's even more crazy. I didn't even make the connection that was this. He literally could have put that in.
It's a case that was not tracked. It wasn't on any paperwork.
And he picks up Sly anyways. And now they have no money. They lost the money. It's in the river. Are we led to believe they're going to go back and get it later? Because the cops are there now. They're going to pull that armored car out of the river. You can't go back.
And they're going to say, what's this extra case for? And they're going to split up the money.
Yes. They lost the money. This whole movie was pointless in every way, shape, and form, both in real life and in the film.
Yep. That's the frustrating thing.
Oh, Donald's saying now that's the setup for Armor 2. Okay, sure.
It wouldn't surprise me if they make a sequel.
No, you can't. You can't. Come on. I can't. Stop. I can't. Now, would you rather watch this, Backtrace, or Escape Plan 3?
Out of the three, I would probably say Backtrace, because I don't remember that movie at all. I'll have to go back and listen to our episode. But at the same time, at least I know in Backtrace we're going to get some semblance of...
I think there was more of a storyline. Jason Patric's acting wasn't bad. He was in a really bad film. I will say that.
But for me, it's like if I'm going to watch a shitty Stallone movie, I'd rather watch a shitty Stallone movie that has...
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you're right. Escape Plan at least has more Sly. Here's the other thing with Jason Patric. This is not a criticism, but is he okay? Does he have alcoholism? He kind of had I don't know.
You know who his dad was, right? Dad was Father Karras from The Exorcist. Jason Miller.
Oh, really? Did he have a drinking problem?
He did.
Oh, jeez. There you go, guys. There's our review of Armor. Do we recommend for people to see this, Craig? I mean, what do we say to people?
Absolutely not. You basically answered the question at the end when you said there was no reason for this. And that's the thing. It's under 90 minutes. It's like 86 minutes or something.
It's 1 hour, 28 minutes with credits.
Yeah. Spend that time with your family. Or spend that time doing something that you love. You know, if you're into gardening, go out and tend your garden for 98 or 88 minutes.
Would you rather sit on a park bench?
Yes.
And look at a river for an hour and a half or watch the sun?
Absolutely. That would be more beneficial to my mental health and well-being. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
I'm serious. Whatever. I
know you're serious. That's what makes it. I know. I trust me. I know you're serious.
Bake a cake from scratch. There's so many things you can do to make yourself and your soul feel good.
What has happened to this podcast? Are people still going to listen to the show? They're going to lose faith in our Sylvester Stallone podcast show.
Well, no, but the thing is, Ryan, and this is where I think we've always done our jobs, for lack of a better word, because this, I mean, none of us are doing this for the money, which is Sly was doing it for the money. We're not doing this for the money.
No,
we're doing this for the love of
film,
and getting together with friends. The one thing that we can say is, as fans, and I know fan is short for fanatic, but you don't have to blindly worship the actor, the sports team, the musician that you're a fan of.
No,
there's going to be things you don't like, and there's going to be things that obviously aren't good. Art's subjective, but there's are certain things that aren't subjective. When it's obvious that something's not good, if you don't call it out as a fan, then you lose your credibility.
I've listened to some podcasts where a certain actor or whoever can never do any wrong, and that's not an engaging conversation. So speaking of which, as far as new movies go that he's more or less starred in, we're kind of caught up. We're not going to do Guardians of the Galaxy. He did a small role in that. That's not enough for me. He did King Shark voice work in Suicide Squad. Again, it was a fun film. It's a good film. He did voice work for a CGI character. It's not really, what do you say about that? So I'm just looking at his filmography of films that he's more or less in or stars in live action. The first newest one that comes up is still that Reach Me that came out in 2014 that we haven't done. Reach Me. The other one that comes up that we haven't done yet, live action, is Shade.
We've been meaning to do Shade for a long time.
Shade, then Avenging Angelo. So there you go. Boy. But we've done like Driven, Get Carter. We've done Copland, Daylight, Assassins. Oh, we still haven't done Judge Dredd as a trio.
Yeah.
So there you go. So we have a few. We even did Stop or Mom Will Shoot, Oscar, Tango and Cash. We did Lock Up. Boy, you miss those days, don't you? Over the Top, Cobra. We did all those. So Rhinestone we did. Victory we did. I'm just going back in time. Nighthawks we did. Fist we did. We even did Death Race 2000. Boy, we're really getting down to the last few here before we have promised our listeners, and people are asking for a party at Kitty and Studs. That we said that would be I would say the final episode, but it's the one that once we kind of caught up, when we run out of starring roles, we're going to have to do Party Kitty and Studs. So here we go. What do you want to do? Shade? I know that's been on your radar.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to talk Judge Dredd again? I know you did it on Slycast. I know that was your Achilles heel for a while for editing.
Yeah, of course. I always love chatting with you guys. I think it would cause me to dig up. My friend Jorge had sent me Actually, I don't know. No, he didn't send it to me, but he spurred it. It might have been a listener from the early Skycast days, Steve. I think he sent me a fan edit of Judge Dredd that basically takes out a lot of the Rob Schneider stuff.
Takes out the Jar Jar of Judge Dredd.
Like streamline the movie a little bit. Of course, I'd be interested and open to chatting Judge Dredd with you guys.
I think 2025, I want to get more of this. Well, we all have time. At least try it once a month, no more than every 2 months, because we're running out. Not in a bad way, but we are getting, like I said, we're getting near the end of his live action starring role films. Yeah.
Well, I think we owe ourselves a good movie.
Okay. Well, Shade is a decent film at the very least.
Yeah, I have the DVD of Shade. It's in a box of DVDs in the closet, so it's easy enough for me to go get. I think we've earned that.
Okay.
Right. I mean,
I know you're right. We had Spy Kids 3 than this. I think we kind of need a film. Yeah. All right. Settled. Okay. So thanks everyone who stuck with us to the very end. We were able to eke out just under an hour of armor talk. I don't know if any other podcast has given quite the review that we've given it. If any other podcast or review show has given it more than we gave it, they're lying. All right, Kay, anything else you want to plug there? Your Brian De Palma podcast or anything?
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't checked it out, you enjoy hearing my voice. Brian and Doug have both guested on the De Palma show I do. It's called The Goat, a Brian De Palma fan podcast. Every episode, we talk a movie and a particular key scene or sequence from that movie to sort of illustrate why Brian De Palma is America's greatest living director.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode.